Hey, everybody. Welcome to Inside Boxing Weekly on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now I want to welcome in my co-host and right-hand man, Jeremiah Preisser.
Good evening, Mike. I'm excited to be here. Always excited to be here. Let's talk some boxing.
All right, we definitely will do that. We got some good fights looking forward to this week. Last week was a little short. I think you had Preisser against Marco Huck, which I think had to be a little bit of an upset. What was your thoughts on the fight? I mean, Huck looked old to me.
Yeah, I think he did. I mean, after all the years of, being in some tough fights against, like Lavi, or sorry, I can't say his last name, but he had a bunch of defenses of his WBO trinket. He'd been in a lot of tough fights, and then he got beat up a bit against Klavaki. He just doesn't look like he's got it anymore. I mean, he's still a good fighter, but Preisser to me didn't come across as a consistent world beater. I think he's a good fighter, but he's not a guy who looks like he's going to dominate the division anytime soon. So when you're losing that clearly to a guy like Preisser, I just don't think you should make many advances at the world level anymore. But, Huck's a good fighter. He's had a good run. I think he's been one of the better cruiserweights to ever do it. Again, I'm not putting him in the upper echelon, but he's a good fighter. But congrats to Preisser. I mean, he's a guy from Latvia. They don't produce very many fighters. He kept a busy jab in Huck's face and kept Huck on the back foot and did what he had to do. Came out with a clear decision.
Yeah, but if he goes up against the better guys in his division, I don't think he's going to be a champion very long.
No, like Usyk, I don't think he's got much of a chance against Usyk.
No, I don't think too many cruiserweights have much of a chance against Usyk, which we'll get to him in a minute. We're going to go ahead and preview the fights this weekend. So we've got some fights in the United Kingdom. We got the Battle of Liams, plus we got Peter Petrov against Terry Flanagan. Petrov and Flanagan's for the WBO World Lightweight title somehow. Petrov had a TKO in 7 over Michael Perez, his last fight. Probably the most notable fight was in 2011 when he got knocked out or stopped in the 4th round by Marcos Maidana. Terry Flanagan beat Orlando Cruz KO8, beat Fana, and won a decision there, knocked out Magdaleno with a second-round knockout. I think this is a good competitive fight.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, I've been a fan of Petrov for a while now. I mean, he looked overmatched against a guy like Marcos Maidana. I think that's because he moved up a weight class. He just looked small there. But Petrov, as a lot of people remember, was part of the ESPN's Boxino tournament with a bunch of lightweights. And he ended up winning the whole thing and looked good the whole time out. I mean, he's got a nice, he's got a nice, busy, crafty style. I mean, his defense is solid. His offense is varied. He goes the body, goes the head. Power is okay. I mean, he's not a one-punch guy by any means, but he's a solid fighter. I mean, I think he's a fringe guy, and I think he's got a good shot to upset Flanagan here. Of course, I would favor Flanagan. Flanagan is to me, the bigger guy. I think he's a bit quicker. I think he's got a bit more experience at the top level now.
He's beaten better competition recently, I think.
Yeah, I think so, too, and he's got a nice little streak going. I think his confidence is really high. Petrov, I think, is a damn good fighter. I just think Flanagan's just a bit too much, but it's a good fight, a good main event, and I expect that whoever comes out on top here might be on Bob Arum's hit list for Vasyl Lomachenko.
Yeah, and we'll get to him in a minute because he's fighting this weekend also. The main event of this card is the Battle of Liams. We got Liam Smith at 23-1. His only loss, of course, was to Canelo Alvarez, where he got knocked out in the 9th round, where he was basically just outclassed. He's a good, tough fighter. He'll be battling Liam Williams, who's undefeated, 15 wins, 0 losses, 1 draw. His last couple fights, he beat Gary Corcoran, knocked out Gabor. I don't know how to say his name, so I'm not even going to act like I do. But who do you favor in the Battle of Liams?
I think this is a good fight. I really do. I mean, in terms of British, domestic fights that can be put together, especially in this division, I think this is one of the best. I mean, Liam Smith, he showed against Canelo Alvarez. I think he's a fringe contender.
He's tough,
like
though.
you said. Yeah, he's tough. I mean, he's got a solid punch. He's got his His work rate is solid. Unfortunately, he just has a tendency to put the earmuffs on and then try to work his way inside that way. There's not a lot of bobbing and weaving, so he doesn't have a tendency to move his head real well. Well, if you don't move your head real well against Liam Williams, who can certainly punch, you might take a slight nap. But again, Williams is an undefeated guy. The only thing about him is that even though he's got a hell of a punch, I mean, he's knocked out guys with a jab, he's had some hand problems in the past, so it's kept him inactive at times. So he hasn't been I have a question about his sharpness here. Liam Smith, he's been busy. I mean, he fought, I think, a little 4-rounder against some no-hoper not long ago, try to get his confidence back up. But it's a good fight. Williams is a puncher. Smith is a dogged fighter. I think this is a scrappy battle, and I'm going to actually favor the Williams in this fight. I think he's a bit younger. I think he's got a bit more upside. And I think Smith's not moving his head. Williams is going to move his head for him.
Yeah, I like Williams, too, in this fight. But that begs, I know the listeners are probably thinking this when you were saying it, but Jeremiah, have you ever knocked a man out with a single jab?
Nope. How many guys have you ever seen knocked out with a single jab?
I've seen a few, but not a lot.
It's rare.
But, well, I just thought I didn't know if you had a big-time jab or not.
No, I wish I did. Unfortunately, I'm not in the gym working it off people's chins enough, but maybe I should get in there and see.
I think maybe you should turn pro, and then we can put a little GoPro on your shoulder or something and just hang out there.
That's pretty good. Maybe we can get some advanced software or something and measure the speed of it, the angle.
How hard you hit the canvas, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can measure that data afterwards too.
All right. That brings us to the next fight for the WBO World Cruiserweight title. We got Michael Hunter against Usyk. I know we both love Usyk. I think he's the best cruiserweight in the world. And I think at some point he's going to do some damage in the heavyweight division. Hunter, I don't think has fought anybody like this guy. His last win was a unanimous decision over Isaiah Thomas. And Isaiah Thomas, if it's the one I know, played basketball like 30 years ago. Usyk looked really good, I thought, his last fight against Machuno, who was a very tough fighter. He won a unanimous decision before that against Glowicki. Hunter got any chance here, or is this a no-hoper?
Nah, I'm gonna go with a no-hoper here. Michael Hunter is not a bad fighter. I mean, he was a good fighter for us. I mean, he was in the World Championships. I believe he participated in the 2012 Olympics, so he was eliminated by Artur Beterbiev in the first round. He's a good fighter, especially in terms of American amateurs. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have the experience here. He doesn't have the skill here. He's just overmatched. I mean, Isaiah Thomas is a good fighter, and I remember they televised that fight. Hunter looked good, but Thomas, if you ever seen him fight, he's one of those guys who has good natural tools. He just doesn't make use of them, whether it's lack of dedication or, he has a hard time transitioning between offense and defense. He's a good fighter. He gave Hunter a bit of trouble. Well, Usyk is Thomas times 5. I mean, Usyk is significantly better. He's in a class by himself, I think, in cruiserweight, and I think he wins fairly easy here. And then the rumor is that he's going back to Ukraine in the summer, getting a title defense then, and then maybe coming back to the U.S.
As a heavyweight, probably, if he goes back to Ukraine, because we know what happens over there. Everybody comes back 20 pounds bigger, and they punch a lot harder. That'll bring us to the main event, which we know we've got Vasyl Lomachenko, who you have a man crush on, against Jason Sosa. Lomachenko knocked out Nicholas Walters very impressively. I think it was, what was it, the 7th round, 5th round?
I think he quit in the beginning of the 8th, so yeah, after the 7th.
And I mean, he also came off a win over a tough Roman Martinez. Sosa's a guy that I think has looked better and better each of his last 3 fights. He had the draw with Walters, which was debatable. He had the TKO in 11 over Javier Fortuna, and then he had the unanimous decision over a solid Stephen Smith. Is this a no-hoper, or do you think Sosa has a shot?
Nah. I mean, Sosa is a guy that I like. I mean, he's one of those guys who you like to root for. I mean, the guy started I mean, he was making pizzas not too long ago. You know, he's in a restaurant making pizzas, and now he's a world-class fighter. I mean, he's broken into the top 10. He gave a nice little show against Nicholas Walters, even though it wasn't a draw. I mean, Walters won that fight. You know, the upset of Javier Fortuna was a good result. I mean, he went in there and took it from the undefeated guy, and then he gets a nice win over Steven Smith. I mean, Sosa's a likable guy, and he's been nothing but respectful in the build-up to this fight. Lomachenko, to me, is just on another level. I mean, Lomachenko, I don't care how many fights he's had. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody in boxing history with a better resume through 8 fights than Vasyl Lomachenko. I mean, he's fantastic. He's got
Leon Spinks.
Well, yeah, but
he beat Muhammad Ali.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. I don't expect Lomachenko to fall off kind of like Leon Spinks did, but Lomachenko is just an excellent blend of offense and defense. I think he's something special. I just hope that he stays active. My problem is that he's fighting, 2 times a year, and he's like a lot of these guys who come from Eastern Europe, where he had a lot of amateur fights, and now that he's in the pro, I mean, he's already 29 years old. Lomachenko's a damn good fighter, but his physical prime is already gone. So when he hits the wall, I don't expect it to be anytime soon, and I think he's good enough to rely on other things once his reflexes and what start failing him. But he's just got to get on the gas pedal. But I think he stops Sosa here.
All right, I think he stops Sosa late. I have a lot of respect for Sosa. I think he's a very good fighter, and I think he will put up a better fight than most, and I don't think he's going to look like he's scared like Nicholas Walters did. I think Sosa can actually hang with him for a while. I just think Lomachenko's skill level is a little bit too much for him, so I would say Lomachenko stops him somewhere between 7 and 9.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think you're right in the sense that Sosa, I think he's going to go and get it. I don't think he's going to wait for Lomachenko. He's not going to let Lomachenko dazzle him like a lot of these other guys do, or at least he's going to try not to let Lomachenko dazzle him. I think he's going to go right after him because that's his best shot. But unfortunately, he's just going to be outclassed. But it's, I wish Sosa the best. I just think Lomachenko's too much.
All right, so now we'll go to our boxing news for the week, which after the way the shows went, I think from now on we ought to call it Jeremiah's Jab Bag. What do you think?
There you go. Hey, I like the sound of that. It's pretty good.
All right. But we had Mikey Garcia on the show earlier today. If you get a chance, check it out on thegrillingtruth.net. But very good interview, very nice kid, very humble, great fighter. A lot of people have been talking about Vasyl Lomachenko fighting him and that being the big fight. But I know just from talking to him, he told me today that he would rather fight Jorge Linares first because he thinks Linares deserves it because he's been at lightweight, won a title, and they want to settle who the champion would really be between the two of them. Do you like that fight? Do you like that idea for unification?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, for me, it's not so much about the unification with the Garcia holds the WBC trinket. Linares holds the WBA trinket. And I feel a bit for Linares because originally he had the WBC title, but the WBC, like they do, like all these alphabet soup organizations do, they pull some crooked move, and then they give Linares some, title. Like, hey, you're champion in recess. I don't know what they've been doing with these guys lately. I mean, they strip Linares, call him champion in recess. They strip Draws, the cruiserweight, and then they call him champion in recess, and then they strip Tony Bellew and call him champion emeritus. It's just it's a never-ending cluster, whatever. But anyways, I really like this fight. I mean, Linares is a supremely skilled fighter, and I've always been of the opinion that he's one of the best fighters in the game, at least in terms of raw talent. There aren't many guys better than him. And as I've said before, unfortunately, his chin and his skin are just not world class, and it's cost him a number of times. With a guy like Mikey Garcia, I think Linares could hang with him tit for tat in terms of ability. Unfortunately, I think Mikey Garcia's punching power is just a bit too much. I think we'll eventually find him, eventually stop him. But if there's a fight that should be made at lightweight, it's this fight. I think it's fantastic. I think it should be done, and my guess is that it will be done. I mean, Linares, he's ready to step up. Garcia's ready to step up, make it happen.
Yeah, and I think then the winner of that fights Lomachenko, hopefully.
Yeah, and I think, like we discussed before, what I think will happen is that Lomachenko will probably fight Terry Flanagan after this. Whoever wins the Flanagan-Petrov fight, I think, is getting Lomachenko next. I don't think Bob Arum's going to let that tie. Lomachenko wants to win his third title in his third division before his 10th fight. That means his next fight is going to be for a lightweight title. I don't think Bob Arum is going to disappoint Lomachenko. I mean, that's his star. It's not his moneymaker per se. I mean, Crawford is making more money and a number of other guys are making more money. But Lomachenko is going to get what he wants. And so I see Terry Flanagan versus Vasyl Lomachenko, plus Flanagan's got the WBO title. We all know that Bob Arum and the WBO, they're in bed together. That's why you see so many other guys with WBO titles. Oscar Valdez has the WBA featherweight title. Lomachenko had it before him. Bradley and Pacquiao, they keep fighting for the WBO title. Zhu Shiming has the WBO title. It's just incestuous. This is what happens. So Lomachenko versus Flanagan, and then you have Garcia Linares, and then the winners fight each other, and that will be for the undisputed lightweight championship. I mean, Linares is technically the lightweight champion. So granted, Garcia gets by him; he's the lightweight champion, and then you have a super fight between Lomachenko and Garcia. I think it's fantastic. It should be done.
I do too, and unlike you, I think Garcia will beat him.
Hey, if there's anybody who has a chance against Lomachenko, it's Mikey Garcia. He's a great. I love his style. I mean, he's so technically precise. He's got good hand speed, big power. I personally just think Lomachenko is a notch above. But then again, you look at Garcia. He looks like the naturally bigger guy. But then again, I kind of want to wait and fill it out a bit because if you look at Mikey Garcia and where he started, he was a featherweight to start off with.
Yeah, but he just physically looks bigger than Lomachenko.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things. It's hard to say. You know what I mean? Some guys physically progress different than others. Lomachenko, I agree. He looks like the smaller fighter. Maybe Garcia is just getting a bit older. He's just filling out his frame a little bit more. It could be that, but either way, the fight should be made, regardless if Garcia.
So I just want to remind everybody, go to growingtruth.net. You can catch our interview with Mikey Garcia from earlier today. Worth the price of admission, but the price of admission is free. So we will go to another super fight that's been made for June the 17th. Andre Ward will fight the rematch with Sergey Kovalev. Of course, their first fight ended controversially with the decision. What's your take on this, Jeremiah? And not just what's your take on it, but how do you see these two guys coming? Do you see them coming out differently to get the decision more decisively or a knockout?
I think Kovalev. I don't think Ward is concerned about that. Honestly, I think Ward thinks that he can do much of the same thing, but try to be more defensively responsible. I think Ward thinks that if he can box smartly like he did in the first fight, in the later rounds, I think he thinks he can get a decision. Ward, for me, doesn't seem like the type who would go out, especially being knocked down by Sergey Kovalev. I think he knows Kovalev has real power. So again, I think Ward is going to play it smarter. I think he's going to do much of the same thing that he did. He's just going to be he's going to be tighter with his defense. I think he's just going to be smarter in that regard. Kovalev, however, I think has to be more aggressive. I mean, when you look at the first few rounds, he was aggressive. He was throwing a lot of punches.
Yeah, and he basically won every one of those rounds, I thought.
He did. When he he was able to jab with Ward, and that's a rarity. You don't see many guys who have that capability. He was able to jab a bit. He was able to land a right hand. I mean, we saw, knocked him down. For my part, I think Kovalev is going to focus more on the knockout, and I think if he's got to do something, he's got to have a diverse range of punches. In that fight, he stuck with the 1-2. He jabbed, he threw a right hand. I think he became a bit too predictable. In this fight, I think he's going to have to mix it up.
Yeah, I think with the knockdown, I think he played it safe the rest of the fight.
I think so too. I think he got comfortable. He was like, okay, well, I caught him. I should be able to catch up to him in the future. And fighting the best defensive fighter that he's ever fought, and maybe the best defensive fighter in the game, he realized that it wasn't as easy as he thought, you know. Ward made a mistake. He caught him. But as we've seen time and time again, Ward is very adaptable. You know, he fights different styles for different opponents, and he's damn good at each and everything that he does. So Kovalev, for me, he's also got to throw in more punches. You know, he can't rely on the jab, can't rely on the straight right hand. He's got to mix in some left hooks, and I think it'll do him well. It's a tough fight, and I still think it's a toss-up.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a toss-up. I think they're two of the 5 best fighters in the world, too.
Yeah, I think the Ring Magazine has them rated correctly. The Ring Magazine now has them 1 and 2. I don't think there's big disagreement there. I can see Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev at 1 and 2, and I think it's a rarity. I mean, how often has this happened where you see the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world fighting the number 2 pound-for-pound fighter in the world?
Yeah, doing it twice within 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, so people really got to take. I think they've just got to promote this fight better too. I mean, there wasn't a lot. There wasn't enough hype surrounding the first fight. These guys deserve it, and I'm excited for the rematch.
All right, we got another fight coming up. I think it's on Cinco de Mayo, isn't it? Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Jr. will be fighting. I don't know, what's that guy's name? Canelo Alvarez. But the guy is afraid to fight Triple G. I still say that, but I think he might be less afraid now. The one thing that impressed me is with Chavez, you never know what kind of shape he's going to come in. And the shape thing, it looks like he's got down this time from pictures we saw this week.
Yeah. I think a lot of us are really surprised. I mean, Chavez looks ripped. I mean, I heard that his trainer, his one-time trainer, Nacho Beristain, the legendary Mexican trainer who, was the coach of Ricardo Lopez and, Juan Manuel Marquez and his brother Rafael. He's got Chavez looking the best I've ever seen him. I mean, for a guy who's allegedly 172, which is pretty damn good, if you're 172 this far out, you're doing pretty damn good. And Chavez having that amount of dedication is impressive for all of us. I mean, I'm excited for this fight, actually, because Chavez, I think, is a good fighter. I think he's got good skills. I don't think he's, on Canelo Alvarez's level in terms of ability, but he's got good enough skill. I mean, his chin and his punching power have done him well in spots. I mean, you look at the Andy Lee fight. Andy Lee's a bona fide one-punch knockout artist, and he ate some bombs from Andy Lee and just walked through them. He got hit a ton by Sergio Martinez, who's a good hitter, if not, not a great hitter, but a good hitter. So the fact that Chavez is showing up in the best shape of his life, and, he's got that sort of, he's got the chin and he's got power, I think it's going to make for an interesting bout, and it may turn out to be better than what people expect.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing with Chavez, though, is he may weigh 172 now, may weigh 180 by next week. So
yeah, we'll see.
Let's wait and see what he comes in at, because he's still got almost a month to get there. Yeah, I'm not exactly excited by the fight because, I mean, to me, Alvarez, the thing that makes the fight exciting to me is the fact that Alvarez went from taking on all comers to the last couple of years fighting no-hopers. Fighting guys that were too small, not talented enough to fight with him. And my question is this. He's made a lot of money. How happy is he? Because, if he's too happy, that can come back and bite you in the ass too. And you've got Chavez. I mean, come on. He's heard everything for the last couple of years. How he's not dedicated, as a pothead. He's nothing like his dad was. Maybe this is the fight where Chavez Jr. comes out to shut everybody up, and Canelo's just not ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a plausible scenario.
It's plausible, but I don't buy it, but I think it's possible. So
yeah, of course.
I mean, this fight to me, if you fight it 2 years ago, is a 99-1 shot. 99% of the time, maybe 100% of the time I'm picking Canelo. Now it's probably more of a 75-25 or a 70-30 fight to me.
Yeah, and I think this angle is worth examining. I mean, you see Chavez, and he's under a legendary trainer. And we've seen, sometimes these guys, when they show up in the best shape of their life, motivated, some crazy things happen. And like you said with Canelo Alvarez, and I've actually talked to somebody about this. I was messaged by somebody about this the other day, and they're talking about how Canelo, he's being pampered, and it's taking an edge off him. It's not only taking an edge off him, but it's not helping him refine his ability. You're giving him, almost all of the advantages, right? I mean, he's bigger than the vast majority of guys that he's fighting. You look at some of the guys that he's fighting, like Shane Mosley, Kirkland, Angulo. These guys are old. Alvarez keeps getting these hand-picked opponents. And to his credit, he did beat Erislandy Lara, and he beat Austin Trout. Those were two good fights, but they weren't punchers. I mean, we haven't seen him in with a guy who's a capable puncher, at least not at the time that he fought them. I mean, Kirkland was, inactive 2 years. Alfredo Angulo was shot clearly. I mean, look at his work afterwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, you never know. It might be one of those instances where Chavez, he can punch. I mean, we saw him hurt Sergio Martinez. We saw him stop Andy Lee. He's a good puncher. It may be one of those instances where Canelo is used to punching guys, and they're not punching back. And, Canelo or Chavez goes in there and he gets it, and he's, taking Alvarez into deep waters. I mean, Alvarez also has a tendency, from what I hear, to be a little lazy in training camp. I hear he's got a bunch of yes men who are, if he wants to stop and take a break, he gets to stop and take a break. So it could be one of those instances. I mean, Canelo could be getting a little soft because of all this. So, I mean, again, it's an angle worth exploring. And, hey, if Chavez upsets Canelo Alvarez, we'll revisit this and say, hey, we thought it was possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's what, like I said, it makes this fight interesting to me now, just because I think there is a plausible reason to believe that this fight could be competitive.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's all I'm looking for. I just want a plausible reason for something to be competitive, and then I'll watch it, no matter what it is. Yeah. Unless it's soccer. Exactly. I won't watch soccer under any circumstances.
No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what, I won't watch it. Doesn't matter. I'm just not going to do it.
How can you end in a tie? Explain that to me. How can you watch ending in a tie?
I mean, I just still don't know how the NFL does it when, at the end of the first overtime, the game's a tie. I mean, why even play that? It was just a waste of time. All right, let's get off the soccer thing. Nobody cares about soccer. Well, they might, because, I mean, and if I offended anybody, I don't really care. I just don't like soccer. All right.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, Jeremiah, sorry, I don't really care. Let's talk boxing. That's a man's sport. Not that soccer isn't, but it's not. All right, we got Rungvisai, who upset Chocolatito, a few weeks ago, a month ago now, ordered to fight a rematch by the WBC. Same kind of question with the Ward Kovalev. What do these guys do different to change the outcome of the first fight?
Well, I don't think Rungvisai can do much more, to be honest with you. I think that was probably the best fight of his career. I think for him, he's just going to do the same thing. I mean, he's got to throw a lot of punches. He's got to try to overpower Chocolatito. And that's I think that's the best he can do, honestly. I mean, he is a good fighter.
Yeah, my question is this, though. Is Chocolatito just maybe getting up there in years a little bit?
I mean, if you look at history, I mean, whenever you're 30 years old in a flyweight or bantamweight,
your days are usually numbered.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at a guy like Eder Joffrey, who's, he had a George Foreman type comeback, but he was significantly younger than Foreman. You know what I mean? These guys at the smaller weight classes age quicker because the game is a little bit quicker when you're that small. You know what I mean? It's like you got to be a little bit sharper.
Gonzalez, if you're George Foreman, you just got to walk in and hit a guy in the chin one time. If you're a 120-pounder or 118-pounder, you got to be able to make them miss and hit them, too, while they're moving, and that's harder to do when you get older and your reflexes start to go. Yeah, I mean, you look at the work rate of these guys. When you look at in that fight, in the Rungvisai-Gonzalez fight, I mean, Rungvisai threw over 900 punches. Gonzalez threw over 1,000. I mean,
how often are you going to find a heavyweight fight with 1,800 punches in a bout? It's or 1,900 punches in a bout, almost $2,000. It's almost non-existent there. So yeah, I mean, in the little divisions, you got to be a bit sharper. And Gonzalez, I think, I'm not so sure. He's certainly past his prime. There's no doubt about that. I don't know why people would, it's not slander for me to say so. When he was at 105, 108, whatever, 112, I think 112 is where he belongs. I think that's the only weight class that should exist down there. You see that he was bigger and stronger than these guys. He was able to rough them up a bit. With Rungvisai, he just, he couldn't handle the physicality, at least not as well as he did before. So I think Gonzalez still has enough to beat Rungvisai. I mean, you look at the fight, and it was still close. I mean, anybody who scored the fight for Gonzalez, I can't blame. I think Gonzalez has more talent, and I think he's more adaptable, and therefore I think he'll probably be better prepared in the rematch. But still, it's tough for him. It's still going to be tough for him to overcome the size difference and the power difference. So I still think I see it as a close fight. I still see it as a pick'em fight.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like I said, if this was a few years ago, I still would agree because I think the size thing is a big thing that people aren't really taking into consideration as much as they should here. Let's go ahead. We'll move on. Luis Ortiz just signed with PBC. We'll be fighting Derek Rossi April the 22nd. Do you like this fight? Do you think Rossi has a chance? And what's your overall critique of Ortiz and signing with the PBC?
Well, I think it's a good move because Ortiz now has an opportunity to fight better heavyweights. I mean, he was kind of languishing, A lot of people were high on him initially, especially after he whooped Michael Jennings, he whooped his butt. But in his last few performances, he's looked a bit flat-footed, not quite as sharp. And that could be a product of age. I mean, apparently he's 37, 38. Hard to tell sometimes with these guys, but I think it's a good thing because, Derek Rossi's a good, serviceable journeyman. Again, I've talked about this on air before. He fought Bermain Stavern tit for tat. I mean, I believe it was a split decision in Stavern's favor. So Rossi, he's a serviceable guy. I think he's going to give Ortiz a competitive fight. I don't think he's going to win, but
yeah, I think it's a competitive fight, though, and I think the great thing about that is we'll see if Ortiz has slipped at all or not. I think in this fight. Yeah,
and at his age, it's there. I mean, it's unfortunate. A lot of these Cubans, a lot of these Eastern Europeans, they start so late. I'm hoping that trend will end soon because it's just unfortunate that we don't get to see more of these guys in more years. But Ortiz gets past Rossi. I think most of us agree with that. But then we're all hoping because Wilder has not taken on a top 10 guy, taken on one top 10 guy, Bermain Stavern. Again, we've talked about previous episodes. Stavern is he's not that eye-catching. You look at his previous work, his resume is predicated
on Chris Arreola.
Yeah, twice. He beat Chris Arreola twice. Okay, so what? It was for a vacant WBC title. It's a bunch of baloney, whatever. Ortiz and Wilder is what we're all hoping for. So PBC, I'm hoping, they've been doing a really good job lately of matching these heavyweights up, and I think this is what's going to happen next. Wilder needs it, Ortiz needs it. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I think Wilder needs it more than anybody.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's unfortunate that the Povetkin fight fell through, but this is a good option. I think it's the next best option. I mean, I think Povetkin's a bit better than Ortiz. Maybe some.
Yeah, I think Povetkin's better than Wilder also.
Yeah, I think so too. But Ortiz is a good, solid option. So let's make the fight, and we can have a.
Yeah, and really, they've got to do something with Wilder fighting somebody of some note. He needs to be impressive if you want to make a future matchup with him and Anthony Joshua to be a huge global event.
I absolutely agree. I mean, Joshua, we're all kind of waiting. We got to see what he's got against an old Vladimir Klitschko, an old but okay, Vladimir Klitschko. But yeah, I agree. I mean, Wilder has looked good. He's fun to watch in the sense that a knockout seems to be around the corner. You know, I like watching him for that. But in terms of ability, Joshua's just been doing a better job. I mean, he's looked sharper, he's looked bigger, he's looked in better shape, on and on and on. Wilder, you know, again, like you said, he's just got to do a better job of building up this it's a big showdown. Not only because they're two good heavyweight fighters, but because, you know, the UK and America have really been the two biggest practitioners of the sport, you know, for almost
since the 1800s.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the English are really the ones who, you know, helped bring along, you know, guys like James Broughton who helped create rules for the game, on and on and on, James Figg, whatever. You know, the English helped propagate it, and then they passed the torch on to us, and so it would be historical to see.
They didn't pass the torch on to us. The Americans knocked them down and took the torch, I think, Jeremiah.
Exactly. That seems
because it had been a while since an English fighter had been successful against an American heavyweight in a championship fight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you go back to Bob Fitzsimmons. He knocks out James Corbett, our American champion. Well, James Jeffries, steamrolls him, and then, you know, it's been, since Lennox Lewis? I mean, but...
Well, you had Frank Bruno beat Oliver McCall for a portion of the title.
Yeah, I don't really... Bruno's a good fighter. I don't really...
Yeah, well, it was a portion of the title. He wasn't really the champion, but...
Yeah.
And then he had the Holyfield Lewis. And no, Prince Charles Martin and Anthony Joshua does not qualify.
No. Sorry, folks. I honestly don't give a crap about Joshua's IBF title. But, again, if the unfortunate thing, however, is that, Tyson Fury is still considered the man. So I'm still wondering how he plays a role here, because even if, Joshua and...
Well, my question is this. I'm big on the lineal stuff like you are, too. But after a couple of years, and the way he's conducted himself, doesn't there have to come a time where he's just not considered a man anymore?
Yes, I do, but I don't think that time has been spent yet. I think he's been inactive about 1 year. I think it'll be 1 year in April or May. I'm not exactly sure. Who did he fight a year ago? Vladimir Klitschko.
I thought that was 2 years ago.
Geez, was it? God, has it been that long?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's... Well, I mean, I know they had the rematch set, but I agree. There should be a point, and the Ring magazine state if you don't fight within a set period, I think it's 18 months. Be strict. Or if you don't fight somebody in the top five within that period of time, then you get stripped. That's why Adonis Stevenson got stripped, and I think rightfully so. So I'm just kind of waiting to see where exactly he plays. He plays into here. But Joshua Wilder is a big matchup if it can be made, and I think it's teeter-tottering. We're going to see if Wilder has the goods, if he overcomes Ortiz, and we'll see if Joshua's a Frank Bruno guy or more of a Lennox Lewis type guy in the Vladimir Klitschko fight. So I'm looking forward to seeing how things play out.
Yeah, November 28th, 2015 was when he beat Vladimir Klitschko. So about a year and a half going on, too.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, he's got a little while for that 18 months is up.
Well, I think about the longest somebody's went without defending the title was what? James J. Braddock, because I think he went a little over 2 years before he fought Joe Louis.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of guys back then who didn't defend regularly. Part of that was
Dempsey didn't defend regularly.
Yeah, no, Dempsey didn't either. I mean, some of the guys back then, they didn't want to defend regular because, like Jack Dempsey, a lot of people thought that he had no peer. So, he was out doing shows and, doing this and doing that. I mean,
yeah, they were cashing in on being the champion before they risked that, which you can't blame them. Especially James J. Braddock and everything he went through before that.
Yeah, no, I don't blame him at all. I don't blame him.
And then he fought Lewis instead of Schmeling, even though Schmeling beat Lewis, because he negotiate where he got like 10% of all of Lewis's future earnings from title fights.
I can't remember what the specifics were, but I couldn't blame him. He got creamed in that fight, but Yeah, it's just the way it was back then. Now we expect guys to get at least two title defenses in per year. And
all right. So do you got anything else in Jeremiah's jab bag?
Yeah, well, to the Rung Vasai and Roman Gonzalez thing, I wanted to note that the WBC also said that Carlos Cuadras needs to fight in a kind of elimination match. I think that's a fantastic idea. Estrada arguably beat Roman Gonzalez at his best. Estrada's a damn good fighter. So I think Cuadras versus Estrada and Rung Vasai versus Gonzalez, I think that's really good matchmaking.
Hopefully they put him on the same card.
I really hope they do. Estrada is one to look out for. Unfortunately, I think he might be the best Mexican fighter in the world, maybe. Again, if you arguably beat Roman Gonzalez at his best, you're pretty damn good. I mean, I like this guy a lot. So, yeah, Cuadras versus Estrada, Rung Vasai versus Gonzalez, that's really good matchmaking, and I'm excited to see it. Also, I want to note that Alexander Gvozdyk is, I hope I'm saying that right, he's fighting Gonzalez on the undercard of the Usyk Hunter bout, the Lomachenko-Sosa bout. That's a damn good fight. A lot of people should tune in for that as well. Gonzalez is a heavy punching Cuban, and Gvozdyk is a well-schooled Ukrainian fighter. I think that's a damn good fight too. So a lot to look forward to in that card.
All right, so hopefully everybody enjoy the fights. Come back and listen to us wrap them up and talk about them next week, and then preview all the fights next weekend. Jeremiah, any final words, closing thoughts? Anything? Do you have anything witty to say, basically?
Yeah, I wish I would. Is this my Larry Merchant moment, or where I'm supposed to say something interesting?
Yeah.
Reflect on everything that we've said and
yeah, I'll do that. That sounds good. That sounds cool. Jeremiah's reflections. Go ahead.
Yeah, it sounds good. The only thing I really want to note is what a lot of people have been talking about, the whole Hagler-Leonard anniversary bit. I just wanted to quickly say that everybody should check out Christopher Benedict's article on it. It's pretty damn good. Anybody who's checked it out, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's caught a whole lot of traction today, but it's damn good, and go check it out. Another thing I want to say is that I've officially been with The Grueling Truth for 1 year. So this is in a way an anniversary for me, and I've been excited. It's been a good run the whole way through, and I appreciate you, Mike, for bringing me on. I've had experiences that I wouldn't have had otherwise, talking to all sorts of good fighters, chatting with you, getting to know some of the crew, helping this website grow, and I look forward to doing it in the future. So thank you, Mike.
Well, it's great to have you, and all I can say is this. I mean, the website's been around for 14 months. When you came on, a year ago, our website had 100,000 hits for the month. Now, after you've been here for a year, our last month in March was 3.4 million. So it shows that our hard work and dedication is paying off. I was just going to say Jeremiah's popular.
Yeah, well, I guess it's the tandem. It's you and I. It's a nice marriage. People, they only recognize me with you and you with me, especially when it comes to boxing. You know what I mean?
Well, and hopefully everybody will keep recognizing it. Definitely check out Christopher Benedict Arnold. I almost said Benedict Arnold. But check out his article on Hagler-Leonard. I know Dave Sidursky has a mythical boxing matchup coming out between Larry Holmes and Rocky Marciano. You want to check that one out also. Then we need to get Larry on to talk about it. But I won't give away who Dave has winning it. But also, you had John Einreinhofer, who does the original 8 rankings for us, where we get rid of all the bull crap titles that are out there, and he just breaks it down on who the 8 legitimate champions are. I think he's going to be wrapping that up in the next month or so. And then after that, starting probably in June, every month you'll be able to go get the actual today original 8 rankings from the Grilling Truth Network. So make sure you check that out at grillingtruth.net. We got Sheila, who writes on women's boxing with Christopher. She writes men's boxing, too. She had a great article on Jorge Linares, so make sure you go check that out. And then, of course, you can find me and Jeremiah every week right here at grillingtruth.net. You can catch all our shows on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spreaker, Google Music, iTunes, YouTube, anywhere they have people that are knowledgeable about boxing. You'll find Jeremiah Preisser.
That's right.
But, guys, make sure we appreciate everybody that listens to the show every week on every avenue that you listen, whether it's iHeart, iTunes, YouTube, whatever. We appreciate everybody for listening in, and we hope to hear you guys, or hope for you guys to come listen to us next week also as we talk a little boxing. Make sure you check out the Mikey Garcia interview from today on the grillingtruth.net. And, maybe Monday you can shoot us an email telling us how stupid we were on our predictions for the fights this week. But for Jeremiah Preisser, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grilling Truth, where the legends speak.